Festival of Eid by Munshi Premchand. Translated by Khushwant Singh. A full 30 days after Ramadan comes Eid. How wonderful and beautiful is the morning of Eid. The trees look greener, the field more festive. The sky has a lovely pink glow. The village is agog with excitement. The boys are more excited than the others. They have been talking about it all the time. At long last, the day has come. And now they are impatient with people for not hurrying up. Their pockets bulge with coins like the stomach of the pot-bellied Kuber. They are forever taking the treasure out of their pockets, counting and recounting it before putting it back. Mahmood counts.
1, 2, 10, 12.
He has 12 pice. Mohsin has
1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 15
pice. Out of this countless hoard, they will buy countless things. Toys, sweets, paper pipes, rubber balls and much else. The happiest of the boys is Hamid. He is only 4. Poorly dressed, thin and famished looking. His father died last year of cholera. Then his mother wasted away and, without anyone finding out what had ailed her, she also died. Now Hamid sleeps in Granny Amina's lap and is as happy as a lark. She tells him that his father has gone to earn money and will return with sackloads of silver, and that his mother has gone to Allah to get lovely gifts for him. This makes Hamid very happy. It is great to live on hope. For a child, there is nothing like hope. A child's imagination can turn a mustard seed into a mountain. Hamid has no shoes on his feet. The cap on his head is soiled and tattered. Its gold thread has turned black. Nevertheless, Hamid is happy. He knows that when his father comes back with sacks full of silver and his mother with gifts from Allah, he will be able to fulfill all his heart's desires. Then he will have more than Mahmood, Mohsin, Noore and Sammi. In her hovel, the unfortunate Amina sheds bitter tears. It is Eid and she does not have even a handful of grain. Only if her Abid were there, it would have been a different kind of Eid. Hamid goes to his grandmother and says,
"Granny, don't you fret over me. I will be the first to get back. Don't worry."
Amina is sad. Other boys are going out with their fathers. She is the only father Hamid has. How can she let him go to the fair all by himself? What if he gets lost in the crowd? No, she must not lose her precious little soul. How can he walk 3 miles? He doesn't even have a pair of shoes. He will get blisters on his feet. If she went along with him, she could pick him up now and then. But then, who would be there to cook the vermicelli? If only she had the money, she could have bought the ingredients on the way back and quickly made the pudding. In the village, it would take her many hours to get everything. The only way out was to ask someone for them. The villagers leave in one party. With the boys is Hamid. They run on ahead of the elders and wait for them under a tree. Hamid is like one with wings on his feet. How could anyone think he would get tired? They reach the suburbs of the town. On both sides of the road are mansions of the rich enclosed all around by thick, high walls. In the gardens, mango and lychee trees are laden with fruits. Then comes big buildings, the law courts, the college and the club. They proceed to the stores of the sweetmeat vendors, all so gaily decorated. Who can eat all these delicacies? Just look. Every store has them piled up in mountain heaps. It begins to get crowded. Parties heading for the Eidgah are coming into town from different sides, each one dressed better than the other. Some on tongas and ikkas, some in motor cars, all wearing perfume, all bursting with excitement. Our small party of village rustics is not bothered about the poor show they make. They are a calm, contented lot. At long last, the Eidgah comes in view. Above it are massive tamarind trees casting their shade on the cemented floor on which carpets have been spread. And there are rows and rows of worshippers as far as the eye can see, spilling well beyond the mosque courtyard. Newcomers line themselves behind the others. The prayer is over. Men embrace each other. They descend on the sweet and toy vendors' stores like an army moving to an assault. There is a row of stalls on one side with all kinds of toys: soldiers and milkmaids, kings and ministers, water carriers and washerwomen, and holy men. Mahmood buys a policeman in khaki with a red turban on his head and a gun on his shoulder. Looks as if he is marching in a parade. Mohsin likes the water carrier, with his back bent under the weight of the water bag. Noore has fallen for the lawyer. What an expression of learning he has on his face. After the sweet vendors, there are a few hardware stores and shops of real and artificial jewelry. There is nothing there to attract the boys' attention. So they go ahead, all of them except Hamid, who stops to see a pile of tongs. It occurs to him that his granny does not have a pair of tongs. Each time she bakes chapatis, the iron plate burns her hands. If he were to buy a pair of tongs, she would be very pleased. She would never burn her fingers. It would be a useful thing to have in the house. What use are toys? They are a waste of money. You can have some fun with them, but only for a very short time. Then you forget all about them. Hamid asks the shopkeeper.
How much for this pair of tongs?
The shopkeeper looks at him and, seeing no older person with him, replies,
It's not for you.
Is it for sale or not?
Why should it not be for sale? Why else should I have bothered to bring it here?
Why then don't you tell me how much it is?
It will cost you 6 paise.
Hamid's heart sinks.
Let me have the correct price.
All right, it will be 5 paise, bottom price. Take it or leave it.
Hamid steels his heart and says,
Will you give it to me for 3?
and proceeds to walk away lest the shopkeeper screams at him. But the shopkeeper does not scream. On the contrary, he calls Hamid back and gives him the pair of tongs. Hamid carries it on his shoulder as if it were a gun and struts up proudly to show it to his friends. Mohsin laughs and says,
Are you crazy? What will you do with the tongs?
Hamid flings the tongs on the ground and replies,
Try and throw your water carrier on the ground. Every bone in his body will break.
Mahmood says,
Are these tongs some kind of toy?
Why not?
retorts Hamid.
Place them across your shoulders and it is a gun. Wield them in your hands and it is like the tongs carried by singing mendicants. They can make the same clanging sound as a pair of cymbals. One smack and they will reduce all your toys to dust. And much as your toys may try, they could not bend a hair on the head of my tongs. My tongs are like a brave tiger.
Sammi, who had bought a small tambourine, asks,
Will you exchange them for my tambourine? It is worth 8 paise.
Hamid pretends not to look at the tambourine.
My tongs, if they wanted to, could tear out the bowels of your tambourine. All it has is a leather skin and all it can say is dub dub. A drop of water could silence it forever. My brave pair of tongs can weather water and storms without budging an inch.
The pair of tongs wins over everyone to his side. But now no one has any money left and the fairground has been left far behind. It is well past 9 a.m. and the sun is getting hotter every minute. Everyone is in a hurry to get home. Even if they talked their fathers into it, they could not get the tongs. By 11, the village was again agog with excitement. All those who had gone to the fair were back at home. Mohsin's little sister ran up, wrenched the water carrier out of his hands and began to dance with joy. Mr. Water Carrier slipped out of her hand, fell on the ground and went to paradise. The brother and sister began to fight and both had lots to cry about. Their mother lost her temper because of the racket they were making and gave each 2 resounding slaps. Noore's lawyer met an end befitting his grand status. A lawyer could not sit on the ground. He had to keep his dignity in mind. 2 nails were driven into the wall, a plank put on them, and a carpet of paper spread on the plank. He fell from the pedestal and was gone. Now let's hear what happened to our friend Hamid. As soon as she heard his voice, Granny Amina ran out of the house, picked him up and kissed him. Suddenly she noticed the tongs in his hand.
Where did you find these tongs?
I bought them.
How much did you pay for them?
3 pice.
Granny Amina beat her breast.
You are a silly child. It is almost noon and you haven't had anything to eat or drink. And what do you buy? Tongs. Couldn't you find anything better in the fair than these pair of iron tongs?
Hamid replied in injured tones.
You burn your fingers on the iron plate. That is why I bought them.
The old woman's temper suddenly changed to love, not the kind of calculated love which wastes away in spoken words. This love was mute, solid and seeped with tenderness. What a selfless child! What concern for others! What a big heart! How he must have suffered seeing other boys buying toys and gobbling sweets. How was he able to suppress his own feelings? Even at the fair, he thought of his old grandmother. Granny Amina's heart was too full for words.